Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, and this is episode 325. We're recording on January 17th, and you're watching it on the same day. We've got our predictions for 2020, even though I lost the 2019 predictions. We've got ArcheAge refunds. Maybe you qualify for them. Limiting your game time through legislation and taking gender locking out of upcoming titles. Plus, Legends of Runeterra heading to Open Beta next Friday. I think it's a little earlier than any of us forecasted. But joining me on the line to talk about all of it, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mike, you want to see a magic trick?
Sure.
See, look at this. My voice doesn't change even as I move my mic up. It's so amazing. Ooh. How does he do it?
Oh, my God, I hate you. Also on the line, Ms. Quinlan Bowers with internet this week that isn't, Snailgram. What's up?
In addition to the other technical issues that we've been dealing with, at some point the cat may start going off because she's in heat. So if it gets really crazy back here, you'll know why.
All right. Well, that's an odd warning to give our viewers, but here we go.
It's obnoxious and loud.
Next week, like us, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Next week, gang, Zach Sharps will be on the show. Told you he'd be coming in the new year. Troy Blackburn should be getting back on here too. Now life is getting back to normal for both of those gentlemen. We'll be cycling them in and out. So if you've missed Zach Sharps, make sure you tune in next week to see his thoughts on all the stuff we have to cover then. But let's get started today with the news. All right, first up, our 2020 predictions in the world of free-to-play. Now, we've talked about how we do these before. Typically, Jason puts together some predictions. He'll give us them. Maybe we'll banter or argue or kind of help him with one if he's, we can't figure out one more to flesh out the piece. So there's some discussion back and forth, and then Jason posts the article. Now, here's the thing that we have done differently this year. Jason's article is up. You probably, or should have, if you're a good MMO bomber, already read it, chimed in the bottom with your predictions, because, of course, we do put those in next year's article. We pick from the viewer comments. However, Q and I have not given our opinions on these yet, so we'll read and talk about where Jason stands, and then Q, you and I will chime in just like we do every year. This year, Jason and Q, you both beat me by half a point, came in at 2.5 out of 5. I've brought up the rear at 2 out of 5. So hopefully I can redeem myself in 2020 and make it the decade of the Magic Man. So let's get started, Jason. First prediction for 2020, I think is kind of a bold one, in that Rocket League, a game we don't really get to talk about on the show because it's not free to play. You predict that Rocket League will go free to play this year. All right, so now you kind of got to defend yourself. Why? I mean, it's doing well. It's got huge numbers. They're making money selling the box. Yeah, they have the in-game shops and stuff, but why give up a revenue stream?
Because why not? Like I went with the same notion of a game. I talked about Destiny 2 doing it last year. I talked about CSGO the year before. I was like, it's a pretty big game. It's already got... It's probably more free-to-play ready than Destiny 2 was.
I would agree.
With that. I mean, because it's really just, like I said, it's got a season pass, got some loot boxes, although they're redoing loot boxes. I don't remember exactly what they're doing to change that. And it's a competitive PvP game where they sell hats, so it's basically Team Fortress 2. But yeah, so why not? Why shouldn't it go free-to-play? It doesn't necessarily... You're right, it doesn't have to. They're still making good money. It's still very successful, has lots of players. But if you're going to pick some pretty big game to make a splash to go free-to-play this year, I think Rocket League would be a really good choice.
So yours isn't the argument of the game's in trouble, it traditionally needs to go free-to-play when that happens. Yours is things are going gangbusters, and you know what? If we open the floodgates and made it free-to-play, they might go gangbusters times 2.
Yeah, exactly.
More that side of the argument. All right, Q, where do you fall on this one?
So when I was reading through the article, my initial thought was, it's not suffering, so maybe. But then he did point out, one, that it was initially developed with free-to-play in mind. And the other thing to consider is that for a while now, they have been trying to push the whole esports thing, but on a smaller level than a lot of other games. But they have really been trying to push it. And for esports, the best way to get people into it is to not make them pay for the game.
Yeah.
So if they really want to keep pushing their esports forward, I do think that it would be to their benefit to go free to play.
All right, so you agree with Jason? That'll go free to play in 2020.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go no way. No way.
Okay.
Rocket League goes free to play, and I'm sure you're documenting all of these.
I'm trying to type around this rather large thing in my way.
The microphone. Yeah, Jason's headset was providing all kinds of fun interactive noises, so we're using a snowball mic instead on the fly. So excuse him with maybe if he has a little bit of an echo here. It was either that or we delay the recording, which we didn't want to do for viewers' sakes. I'm going to go no way. I don't think Rocket League goes free to play. I agree that, yes, it probably would be a decent thing. It would help the esports. I don't even have a good argument to counter your arguments on why it would probably be a good idea to go free to play. I just don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah. I didn't have a great argument either, but I had to throw something out there. That's what all these are about.
Predictions sure to go wrong. Number 2. I think this one's interesting. The first perfect world ARPG to go and hit open beta. You're predicting that it will be Magic Legends before Torchlight Frontiers.
That's right.
Even though Torchlight Frontiers, by all accounts, should be, doesn't mean that it is, but should be really, really far ahead of Magic Legends as far as development cycles go.
Well, you see, I'm not totally sure on that, because we've only been hearing about it for about a year and a half, whereas Magic Legends was announced 2.5 years ago, technically.
Yeah,
so
but the concept for Torchlight Frontiers, though, has been around since Torchlight 1.
Since well before Torchlight 1.
Yeah, I mean,
because
that was the original concept.
Yeah, that was the original concept. And then they went, oh, but here's the single player pay-to-play game, and I distinctly remember getting on Twitter and going, I don't see the point in paying $20 for something that they're going to roll out a free version of anyway, and the Torchlight people replied to me, oh no, that's not what we're doing. So
I'll admit I was not aware of that, I'll admit.
So you think Magic Legends first. What do you think gives Magic Legends the edge? And we're talking about the race to open beta, not official launch, because open beta to launch, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's 4 years for no damn reason. So we're talking about the race to open beta. You think Magic Legends crosses that line first. Why?
Frontiers just seems like that eternal, we're working on it, we're reworking it kind of thing. It just feels like that sort of thing. They're just going to keep iterating on it, forever and ever. Not forever, but for at least a good long while. I think it's possible we could see both of them this year, but I also think Magic Legends is farther along than we think it is. We're getting a lot more information now, and I don't see any reason to think that Torchlight is farther along just because we've heard more solid details for longer.
Q, I let you go first on the last one, so I'll go first. This one, I agree. I think Magic Legends will hit open beta before Torchlight Frontiers, so I am a thumbs up on this one. Here's my thing, though. I think it's because Torchlight Frontiers, I think, is in a really risky spot right now where it maybe doesn't release. I hope that's not the case, but I think it's really, to me, in danger of becoming one of those titles that now people just don't care about. It's been on the radar for so long, was pulled back for a bunch of changes that, once it releases, it'll be a breach. It'll be out for like 6 months, and then nobody's playing it anymore. I hope that's not the case, because I dearly love the Torchlight IP, but I don't have a lot of hopes for Torchlight Frontiers right now, so I'm going to give Magic Legends hitting open beta first. I agree with you. Q.
I actually kind of agree too, and it's not just for the reasons you stated, but also, I mean, we're talking about Magic, which is something that has, that long built-in player base, and people who really love the IP and everything. And as much as there are those of us who love Torchlight, I kind of feel like if Perfect World is, spending time investing energy or something trying to get one of these up before the other, it's probably going to be the one that, has the bigger love from people. And as opposed to the one that, like you said, kind of is in a weird, iffy space anyway.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. You got something that has a lot more eyeballs on it, and a lot more eyeballs likely to check it out than you do with Torchlight. All right, so that's all three of us agree on that one.
I thought this one was going to be more controversial, but all right.
Now,
See, not only do I have to make predictions, I have to make predictions that I think you guys are going to at least be a little off on, so we're not all the same. So, I failed so far somewhat.
Well, no, and again, number one, I disagreed.
I know.
Here's number three, where I think you're going to get some more conflicting viewpoints.
Okay.
Jason's free-to-play prediction here is we will get to play an officially sanctioned City of Heroes server. Now, that does not mean that NCSoft will relaunch the game itself. Maybe they do. That would be a sanctioned server.
Sure, that would count.
But, Jason, you are also talking about sanctioned servers being, they license it or come to some type of arrangement with some of the servers that have spun up and are in negotiations with them from 2019, and they get the blessing. They're not in danger of getting shut down or getting a cease and desist. Those would count as officially sanctioned for your prediction.
Yeah, because, like I said, this started off in, I think, April. And within about a month or so, we were hearing about those kind of negotiations starting up. Kind of NCSoft being really cordial about the whole thing, not just coming down and smacking down the guys who are making these servers. And so that's been like 7-8 months already. And I just think that if they're going to get it done, they'll even slowly and at the speed of legal, as they say, I think they could still get it done over what will essentially be about 20 months. So I'm fairly optimistic, which is something weird for me, I know. But optimistic that we will actually get it done within this calendar year.
Q?
I don't know. I can think of like lots of reasons for them not to officially sanction anything. Just kind of letting it fly under the radar and, being like, well, we're not going to take it down or whatever. I mean, that's still kind of risky business-wise, but officially sanctioning things has, a whole bunch of other connotations that tie into it that if I were a business, I wouldn't necessarily want to deal with. For one thing, a lot of people, kind of confuse officially sanctioned with, these people are actually going to be overseeing it again.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. Like they're actually responsible for it because it's official. And no business wants to deal with that. Whereas with this, it's there. It's understood that it's not official. And these people are handling it the way they want to. And, they're just overlooking it for the sake of being nice. So
maybe I overstepped what I said. I did mean that it's like you said, that not necessarily, maybe not officially sanctioned is the best words, but the sort of they're not going to shut it down kind of thing. That was kind of what I meant. But
all right, because I was going to disagree with you, and it was going to be on that line. It was going to be, not the same grounds, but that was the dividing point. I don't think cease and desists and things like that are going to be sent out. But I also don't think it'll be, we'll have the details of, NCSoft has officially licensed to this group or has given permission to this group. I think you can, if you're NCSoft, you can satisfy both sides of the equation here and still legally protect your IP if you just keep it in a negotiation stage. There's no incentive to remove it from a negotiation stage. These people banding together aren't going to be able to give NCSoft the money they would want to just take the license and do anything they want with it. NCSoft doesn't intend to do anything with it. I don't think that they would boot up new servers of their own or anything like that. No. But you don't want to just say, okay, go do whatever you want, because then you lose the ability to protect that IP in the future when you go to court over something and they say, well, wait a minute, you didn't try to protect your IP back here. You don't get to protect it here. It's why Elder Scrolls went after Scrolls. It was a dumb lawsuit, but it shows that you are trying to protect your IPs. So I think you just keep it in a constant state of negotiation. Let's meet once a year, right? We're not going to send you cease and desist to try to shut you down, and we'll talk every couple of months, and maybe we get somewhere, maybe we don't. But if there was ever a situation in the future where you had to defend your IP, this doesn't come up as an example of where you didn't, because you were in active negotiations to work something out. So I kind of said no, but because of that line, that it now sounds like you may have meant that line counts as being okay. But I don't know if it does, because one of the points that you make is you need to be able to play it without fear of coming tomorrow and not having
Yeah.
your character. And I think if it's just in this negotiation stage, you constantly do have that fear still.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If it's in constant negotiation, that does not count as what I was going for.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to be settled on it this year, so I'll break from you two a little bit. Or Q, you're kind of coming with me that there's not going to be anything officially sanctioned on this one, right?
Right.
Officially settled, maybe is the
settled. Yeah, that might be a better word. All right, so there, Jason, are you happy? Both of us disagreed with you.
All right.
And we may disagree here too, but it's because of something that was forgotten, I think, and not any expression of opinion. Number 4.
I'm not. Okay, go ahead.
No Guild Wars 2 expansion or other major new announcement will come from ArenaNet this year.
Yep, because they had a crappy 2019, and they're going to need time to recover, and certainly not going to do an expansion for Guild Wars 2 because the story stuff doesn't match up with how they're doing that. And I don't believe they're going to announce any new projects this year either. I don't.
You still don't, even after you forgot about something?
Even after forgetting about that and the news today, I still don't think they'd make an announcement because they are always going to be... We're going to wait until the very last possible second to announce this stuff.
All right, we'll talk about the news from today. Let's get that in there right now. Go ahead.
The news from today is almost kind of like first of all, late last year, like around December 27th, I think was the date. So we discovered job postings for what was it exactly?
It was
a 3D action console game or something like that from ArenaNet. So clearly that's what they're hiring for. And then today we got news of their former lead designer for Guild Wars 2. She changed her Twitter bio, which used to say former, Guild Wars 2 lead designer, to now lead designer of unannounced project for ArenaNet. So, I mean, that's officially an announcement. Basically, they are working on something. Employees saying we're working on an unannounced project, so they are doing something. But
you don't think we will hear the announcement on that this year?
I think we still don't hear about it this year because, like I said, I think they had enough going on in 2019, and because they are always going to play it extremely close to the vest, I think they're not going to really announce any sort of big new thing this year.
All right, so I do have to clarify here. The prediction is no Guild Wars 2 expansion or other major new announcement from ArenaNet. Would, and I'm not saying this would happen, but would something like hey, we're closing Guild Wars 2, would that be a major new announcement?
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either, but I want to make sure, is the negative side, can it be big enough on the negative side that that's a new announcement?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll count that.
All right. Q, you're up. Or wait, is it my turn to go first?
It's your turn to be up.
It's my turn to go first. That way Q and I are guaranteed not to be copying each other the entire time. I agree with you that we're not going to get a Guild Wars 2 expansion announcement or anything. We definitely won't get an expansion. Would an announcement of an expansion count as major? If it was
I think the actual expansion has to come out.
Okay. I'm going to go, but I disagree. I think we'll get a major new announcement. I think it'll be about their console project. I don't think we'll get hands-on or anything like that in this year, but I do think we're going to get a peek behind the curtain at what what it's planning to be. So I'm going to agree with you on the Guild Wars side of this, but not the overall ArenaNet, so that puts me down as a disagree with the prediction.
Let me FYI to clarify that it must be an official announcement, not a
no,
something like actual studio head goes out and has a video. Or
yep, no, I agree.
All right.
I agree with the terms and conditions set forth by Jason Winter.
Did you read section 4, paragraph 6?
I did. Q, what about you?
I think if they're okay, so how recently did these little things start changing the Twitter bios and stuff? Like super recently, right?
Well, the job postings, the job postings went up though in the Q4 of 2018.
2018
or 2019? Sorry.
I was like,
we presume that the Twitter posting that's pretty recent.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that person just shifted over to doing that,
or just shifted over officially,
or just shifted over officially, or I guess I don't know, tied up, finished wrapping up duties or whatever. If there were, it would. I think it would be so late in the year.
I agree
for next year.
I think it'll be like
because
Q4.
just the way the
Even if it was 3
transitions and
hours
stuff
before
are going.
midnight.
Yeah.
This will be the 2020 tweets I'm getting. You got 3 hours for ArenaNet to announce something, Burn.
Man, that's a hard one. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jason on that one. I don't think that if it is, it's gonna be so it's gonna be within the 3 hour span.
All right.
All right. Now we're getting the
Try to get those
diversity of
points.
opinion.
You know she has to go different than you. Yeah.
All right, number 5, the last one, Jason, the 2020 loot box odds deadline. This is when the ESA committed to Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft disclosing odds on things like loot boxes on their games by the end of 2020 as a way to kind of stave off any potential legislation that might be headed their way here in the United States. Jason, you think that deadline will come and go without any real action?
Yeah, because basically, I think the original announcement, which was back in like August of last year, it's like 5 months ago, it was basically done to get the heat off them for a while. Get the heat off them, let them figure out a way to maybe deal with this sort of thing, or to just put it on the back burner and hope people forget about it for the foreseeable future. They'll probably get around to November, December and say, oh yeah, we mentioned that. How about 2020? Well, 2021 sometime, but we'll get it then. Yeah, that'll be the best time. So I really think they just did it as a delay tactic and as a get it out of the way, shove it under the couch so that people forget about it. Of course, if something else happens, another thing comes out with some kid spending $50,000 on loot boxes in July or whatever.
Right.
Maybe that'll spark it back up again. But assuming they can avoid that sort of thing, then I think it's going to not happen.
Q.
Yeah. Since it's not an actual legal thing, it's just them doing their own stuff. I can see definitely where this idea is coming from. I mean, to be honest, like you said, the whole forgetting, I had already forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. Like I'd totally forgotten that was even a thing that they had done. So if we forget, the politicians have probably forgotten about it for whatever crap they're busy doing or not busy doing. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him and say it'll just kind of roll over if anything else. Wow. Why bother with it if you don't have to?
I agree with you on the first portion, Jason. It was absolutely a PR / burn it and hide it type move. Yep. Announcement. I don't think it was made for the betterment of man. It was made so that the problem would go away for a little bit. I 100% agree with you there. Was it a little knee-jerk even, maybe? Probably. I think we see some major movement on this in 2020. Okay. Only because I think the PR in the end of 2020, beginning of 2021 would be even worse. Now you said you were going to do something about this problem, and you haven't done it. You haven't followed through. You're not even moving. I do think, though, that I'm at risk here because there's something you put in your piece that I agree with, where you could very easily see them saying, we're still doing it. This is taking longer than we originally thought. We need to leak into 2021. And I can see that, but I don't see this just like not being talked about, no movement on it. That PR would be bad. But I'm going to commit. If I'm going to commit to the line, I'm willing to take the risk on them saying, we're moving, we just need till 2021, 2022, 2023, and keep kicking the can down the road. And I'm going to say, I'll err in favor of people doing the right thing and keeping their word, and we'll see some movement on this in 2020. Okay.
I should say movement. I mean, just completely. Yes or no? They will have this in place by the end of the 2020.
Yeah.
Or they won't. Yeah. And you say they will.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that they will. Yeah.
All right.
I'm not incredibly hopeful on that one. Maybe that's a little more heart than head from me, but I'm willing to go with it. So we've got, we'll see where the points fall. We've got a year. Go ahead.
Yeah, you disagreed on like 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5, yeah.
Whereas Q disagreed on really only 1. Okay.
I'm in an agreeable mood today.
All right.
Oh, great. I can see it. Now, this is just like what? Guaranteed, basically, that next year you two tie for first and I'm in last again. Next week we'll run them real quick next week with Zach Sharps, too, so we can throw him in there
Okay,
as well.
great.
We won't take up as much time as we did today. We'll just do a bullet list and get his opinions on each of them. Moving on here, make sure, by the way, that you check out the article that Jason wrote on mmobomb.com. Go on it, put your predictions, where you agree, where you disagree, or if you have a totally different prediction on something, throw it in there. We love putting them in the article at the end of the year.
And definitely put those in the article. Don't comment on the YouTube post. Put them in the article.
Yeah,
so I
put
can
them in the
find
article
it
so
easily
they
next
can be
year.
found. Yes, it makes it much easier to put the articles together. ArcheAge is finally settling, at least it looks like, a class action lawsuit that is close to what, 6 years old now? 4 years old? Something like that. So back when, we need to know when ArcheAge launched, because that's when it was.
2014 is when it launched.
Yeah, so 5 years, almost 5 years.
Well, over 5 years.
Well, no, it's just
2020 now.
Oh, yeah. God damn it. I did it again. 2019. Ugh! So, yeah, over 5 years ago. If you remember this stems from way back when they were selling Founders Packs for ArcheAge when it was coming here to the West. And those packs included a 10% discount for patrons. Well, you didn't end up getting that discount. Instead, it was replaced with bonuses on purchases in the cash shop, which isn't the same thing. It wasn't remotely the same thing. It didn't mathematically work out to be the same thing. There was a whole bunch of reasons why people were unhappy. This rolled and rolled and rolled until finally it was a class action lawsuit against Tryon, right? And then, Tryon then had some problems, and Gamigo came in, so now Gamigo owns the lawsuit, even though they didn't really buy ArcheAge, right? They just, that's still owned by XL Games. Gamigo just now inherits the publishing responsibilities and has to come to a deal with XL Games to do it. But they did own the Tryon stuff, so they own this lawsuit. Yeah, but finally we have some resolution, Jason.
Yeah, and if I recall, one of the recent things on it was that, well, the lawsuit was against Tryon, and Tryon doesn't exist, so we're going to try and dismiss the lawsuit.
Right. Yeah, good luck.
So, yeah, that didn't exactly work out, apparently. But apparently there has been a resolution, yes, in the past week or so, that you can actually get a portion of the money involved in this class action lawsuit. $420,000 worth of from the settlement, which you can go to a website right now and put out your claim and give it whatever details are needed, and you can maybe get a portion of the lawsuit money.
Here's what I find interesting about this, though, Jason. This isn't just about that 10% discount that people were pissed off about. You can actually submit a claim to get a piece of this $420,000 if you purchase patron status or supply crates before October 26, 2018. So the loot box purchase has kind of fallen into this, too.
Yeah, that was a part of their lawsuit as well. I don't remember exactly what the terms were, but they were also, I think, going into it to some extent for the whole gambling loot boxes portion of things as well, which we initially thought, well, you shouldn't probably include that. It's going to muddy the water. It's going to make it difficult to get your, what you really want, which is compensation for that 10%, but apparently it worked.
Q, does this kind of put other developers on edge a little bit, seeing a court-ordered or a negotiated court-order settlement? I'm not sure if it was part of if it was settled or if it was settled by a judge. I don't have those details. I apologize for not having those details. But either way, you see almost $500,000 put on the line here. Granted, small peanuts for a lot of these companies, but going towards the almost reimbursement on loot boxes. Does that kind of cause a little bit of pause, a little bit of reflection on how you might implement those types of things going forward, seeing this kind of payout?
I mean, that's kind of the point of a class action lawsuit, right? Is to basically put companies on notice. It's not like you, as a member of a person involved in a class action lawsuit, that you're getting really anything out of it. For if enough people go in and claim their share, they'll get like $4 back each. or something, right? Like it's not. So the whole point of class action lawsuits is, like you said, to put companies on notice. And maybe with the loot boxes being thrown in like they are, that would be, and just with loot boxes, the whole situation around loot boxes being what it is, it would hopefully be an indicator to companies that they need to figure some other shit out. And hopefully, at the same time, give, warn them that maybe it's not a good idea to offer players something and then change it last minute as well. So I hope so, but I don't always have a lot of faith in a lot of these companies being smart enough or, worried enough about it to even, care. So
all right. So yeah, if you qualify, go ahead and fill out those claims. And Jason, if you play video games in Japan, you get an hour or an hour and a half a day from now on, right? The whole of Japan, this is like national law, right?
Well, not me, because I'm an old geezer. But if you're a teenager, you might be restricted. That's and it's all throughout all of Japan, right? Exactly. Yeah, but apparently the excuse me, it's not ironic, not an ironic cough. Apparently, a special committee of the Kagawa Prefecture Assembly has decided that they would like to put a law into place that would, in fact, limit the amount of time that people under 18 can play video games. An hour a day or 90 minutes on weekends and holidays. And you can only play past up to a certain time. 10 p.m. up to 10 p.m. if you're in high school, 9 o'clock if you're younger than that. So yeah, if you're a kid in the smallest prefecture in Japan, then you might have your video game time limited. Yeah,
and we're still obviously a long way away from this being passed. It's still got to go through their legal processes, their votes, their, all of those items. This is just a proposition at the moment. And we should note the Kagawa Prefecture is actually, you mentioned Rhode Island in your piece, and we'll get to why in a second. But just to give you an idea, Kagawa Prefecture is 725 square miles. Rhode Island is 1,212 square miles.
Wow, look at Mike going to Wikipedia.
So, yeah, no, not Wikipedia, Google. Yeah, I just Googled that real quick. Yeah. So we were talking about a very small prefecture, particularly if you're familiar with the United States, Rhode Island is not that big. But by that same token, and Jason, you mentioned this in the piece, it would be big news if Rhode Island, as small as it is compared to the rest of the United States, tried to pass a law like this. Not because you particularly think, oh, there's a lot of people in Rhode Island that would be impacted by this, Q, but it starts to set that type of like domino effect, right? When you start seeing one state pass some type of legislation, it's not very long before another state does, and another state does, and another state does. So it would be big news if Rhode Island tried to pull this in the U.S. too.
Yeah. The hilarious thing about it is that there's really no, negative impact. Like it's kind of more a parental guidance suggestion thing than anything else. Like there's no punishment or anything like that for it. And it's not, I mean, it is unreasonable that it's a government entity telling parents, your kids are only allowed to play for this amount of time. But it's really not unreasonable to go, kids should maybe only play an hour of video games at night on school days, especially, but that's a parent thing. That's something the parent should be doing, not.
That's responsible parenting. I don't like the government involved in it. But I also, it just boggles my mind when I see legislation, whether it's in the United States or not, that it's just like you read it and you're like, this is impossible to enforce. It is impossible. Why even bother putting this as a law on the books? Wait, now we're gonna hire a couple hundred people every day to walk around.
Well, if it's China,
anybody gaming in there?
Yeah, was it China?
How old are they? How long you been on Fortnite? Come with me. Go ahead, Q. Sorry.
But like Jason was about to say, like with China or maybe even Korea, I could be like it's tied to your identification number. So
throttle the ISP and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's basically tracked through your government ID, like how much time you're spending doing that kind of stuff. So
right, if you're on an online game though. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's not
Yeah,
doing that when
that
you're
is-
walking around on your DS or anything like that. It's impossible to enforce.
Yeah.
So,
Not only that, but I mean, it's even the notion of, okay, well, only an hour of video games, but I guess you can watch movies all night if you want, or
yeah.
porn or whatever, you know, just go ahead, but just
Yeah.
not video games.
That is true.
You sit there and watch hours of porn, Jason?
Look, some nights there's nothing else on TV. you
Really?
know?
I mean, just just in and out. You know, I'm there. You know, there's no reason to sit there and watch it for 3 hours. Just we're here to do a job. Let's get this done.
Maybe I'm there for the plot.
I think Mike just
the plot.
gave us way too much information there.
What, that I wouldn't sit and watch porn for 3 hours? You can have that information. That whenever I do watch porn, it's for
No,
exactly
it was
the
the
amount of time I need it for. Yeah, that's
It was the
There
in and
you
out
go.
part. Just done.
yeah. That upon reflection, that might not have been the best wording. Thank you for pointing that out, Q. You couldn't just let me go and go, hey, yeah, that was not good wording. You know, you had to hang me out to dry like that. Thanks.
I don't want to hear about it hanging, man.
Oh, my God. I hate both of you. All right, moving on, or we're never going to get done here today. Lost Ark is removing gender locking, adding personal islands, and Battle Royale in their next patch. Why are we talking about this? Because it's not released in the West yet. Well, it is supposed to be free to play, and it is released in the East, and it is pretty popular there. And our own Zach Sharps, we know, loves this game. Can't wait for it to come here. And I kind of agree with something that he tweeted, and I thought it, and when he tweeted it, I was like, we're along the same lines. Removing gender locking from this game is obviously a good decision, but it's also a decision, Jason, that is definitely more Western targeted than Eastern targeted. Do you think this is indicative of the game is close to getting ready to come West? These types of decisions are like gender locking would be one of the last things you would, okay, now let's ship it.
I don't know about close. Because trying to predict when a...
Prediction number 6. Do we play
Yeah,
Lost Ark in
That's why
2020?
I didn't put this one on here because I knew whatever I said, I knew Zach would be just all over it. But yeah, I have a hard time thinking for sure this game is like going to come out in the West this year. Predicting an Asian game to come East or to come West it's like a fool's game. Look at Bless. Look at Phantasy Star Online 2.
Hey, come in 2020.
Yeah, after like 7 or 8 years. Yeah, it's like, man, I just have such a hard time thinking, it's definitely going to come over now. Now they've done this or that or the other thing. It's like, I think it's a good step. I think it means it will, but I can't make a prediction on exactly when that's going to happen. I'm not optimistic toward it coming over here in this year.
We play this here in 2020. I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Oh, okay.
We play that. I don't know if it'll be a full release, but sometime this year we will get our hands on Lost Ark in a Western version. A Western version.
Awesome.
Give me closed beta. Let's not do alphas, but we will get to at least closed beta in 2020.
Closed beta.
I'm probably way wrong on that one, but I'm, again, heart, not head. Go ahead, Q. What do you think? Gender locking mean it's coming soon? Since they're removing that gender lock?
I think it means it's coming, but I'm out with you on this soon. I think you're like maybe alpha by the end of the year, maybe. But I'm not going to be into beta.
I don't think so. I guess I just don't think there's even really reason for a long-term alpha in the West. I mean, this game is already developed, running, and doing its thing in the East. Its localization. Yeah, no, it wasn't. No. To be fair, Bless was not, actually. That was the problem, is that it was up and running and then got shut down by its own publishers because they didn't want to carry it because it wasn't finished. This is... Your argument about Phantasy Star Online 2 is absolutely valid. Fully developed, fully functional game over there. They didn't want to do the localization. That was it. They
did. They announced it like in 2013.
Right.
And they said, well, maybe not.
Right. So. I think we get our hands on this year. Last thing before we head over to the bombs, I'm surprised by this, actually. We all knew that we were going to be getting time with Legends of Runeterra, Riot's League of Legends-inspired card game this year that we knew 2020 was going to be the release. I'm surprised by how fast this is going, though. We are going into open beta, not closed beta or anything. Open beta testing next Friday, the 24th of January. Much earlier than I would have thought. I would have thought an open beta around March and then a full launch later in the year, which would have been basically nothing. Just a title shift. So I'm a little surprised by this. When you read the posts, they do talk about how there is a lot of work to still be done with this game. They're going to do a lot of it with feedback from open beta, from players who are actively playing the game. However, Jason, the game is going to start with a friends list, and you can challenge your friends. So in my mind, they are already one step up on Magic Arena.
Woohoo! Woohoo! And I also managed to recover my Riot account this weekend.
Hey!
Like yesterday. So
good for you.
I should be able to play. Excuse me. It's fine.
Are you sure you're going to be able to play? I mean, so
you're not dead by then.
Yeah, sounds like a pine box might be in order, my friend. Have a nap. Lay down. Q, are you surprised by how fast we got to open beta here?
Not really. I mean, it's one of those things, like they announced forever ago that they were actually going to be doing stuff to put the at in Riot Games. So we knew that there was work being done on whatever. They just took a while to tell us. They basically pulled a Blizzard and took a while to tell us what it was.
Fair enough. Next Friday, you'll be able to jump in, open beta. But for now, let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. I'm going to give a dub bomb to a game I put a first look up for yesterday, Darwin Project. I'm enjoying it so far. I don't know how long I'll play this type of game, though. And I really don't like some specific changes that they made from earlier versions in the game into the launch version, particularly the addition of classes. I'm seeing I'm not alone in that thought on the internet there, particularly on the Steam reviews. But it is a neat, slightly different take on a Battle Royale-esque type game. It's not like 100 people or anything like it. It's 10 people in a match. You go do your thing. So it is kind of snappy, very tongue-in-cheek. There are some neat elements as far as being the director of the show and influencing the map of 10 players. Some Twitch integration stuff that you can let your Twitch viewers vote on what you do to these players as a director. So there's some interesting things going on. I don't know if it's long-term going to be a lot of fun for me, but Dub-Bomb, this week it has provided some enjoyment, so I'll give it a Dub-Bomb for that. Darwin Project on Steam, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. It is not cross-platform, though, so you'll be playing with people on the same platform you booted up on. Check it out. First looks on mmobomb.com right now for you to view. Jason.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to Taco John's and Taco Cabana, far superior fast food taco restaurants than Taco Bell. Got to eat at Taco John's a couple weeks ago when I was out in Colorado. They used to have them back when I was in college in Minnesota. Love them a lot better than the Taco Bell crap we used to get. And then I got to talk with someone who's from the Dallas area who knows of Taco Cabana, which is also a fantastic chain down there. So definitely give those a try if you're looking for something better than Taco Bell, which is not really a tall order, I'll grant you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just look across the street. I don't know what is there, but it's better than the Taco Bell you're standing in front of.
Some people are just crazy about it. Like, oh yeah, Taco Bell, awesome. Taco John's, oh that sucks. No, Taco John's is better. Trust me.
I'll take your word for it. We don't have them here in our area. Q.
I'm going to give the bomb to Betty White because it's her 98th birthday, so she's maintained her evilness just enough in all that sweetness to keep herself alive that long.
So here's the thing.
Palpatine, basically the same thing, right?
Yeah, I absolutely love Betty White. What I don't get is the people that like post pictures and they're like, she hasn't aged a bit. Yes, she has. She has. Yes. Go watch Golden Girls. Go back and watch Mama's Family, original episodes of Mom. She's aged. She's a beautiful person. Love her. Super talented. Give her a big hug if she was here. But please stop saying she hasn't aged. She has. She's 98. From the viewers, Gesley says, A-Bomb, I really did not and still don't like Cryptic/Perfect Worlds monetization. Monetization style. For example, Neverwinter. Recently jumped in that game to see how the game has changed. Number 1, immediately noticed VIP ranks like in mobile games. 12 of them. Simple subscription, guess it's not good for them. 2, some kind of event which gives you reinforcement points and it blinks under the minimap that you can buy a boost for it. 3, quest for mounts send you to talk with the NPC, but it misleads you. Felt like it for me and my friend, that you first talk with an NPC which shows premium mounts. The real NPC was a bit further away from him. Still drops lock boxes which you can open with a key from the in-game market, and if someone opened and got everything good from theirs, it shows up in your face what he got. They have done that since launch. I have hated that since launch. As rewards from level chests and some kind side quests or something, they gave useless time discount coupons for the market. Yeah, they do this. What happens with level chests? You will get something useful for your adventure, which boosts you a little and gives that feeling, oh boy, can't wait to get to the next level cap so I can open again. That is so sad. I know. They need to get their money somehow. But the practice they use is stupid and really smells like mobile market wannabe. There are other free-to-play and buy-to-play games with subscriptions that don't use these types of tactics and don't put a bad taste in my mouth when I've not even reached level 10. So it's basically a new player experience. I wish I could say I disagreed with you. I very much enjoy Neverwinter, the game itself. I hate everything you listed there. I've always hated everything you listed there. In some aspects, that has just gotten worse. I just sent over questions yesterday to the Neverwinter team. We'll be putting up an interview on Infernal Descent. One of the questions I asked, which I don't know if we'll answer, I'm talking to the lead developers. One of the questions that I asked was, what is your response to some of the criticisms regarding the tactics that you are utilized in game? And I give one or two of these as examples. We'll see if they answer it. I don't think it's likely to change anytime soon. It's been rolling for so long that, why change? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, might be the standpoint that they're at this point. But I agree with you 100%, Gesley. Jason, go ahead.
Might change if they have to adhere to the 2020 deadline for loot box odds.
There you go.
Anyway, Azrael Sword says, no, Nerd Slayer's vids are pretty negative and heavily hindsight focused. Thank you. Because I was like, yeah, it looks crappy. I don't want to do it. But Mike was like, no, they're good.
Hey, I enjoy them. But there's a couple pieces of feedback here where people disagree with me. They don't like them. That's fine. That's fine.
It's also apparent when he does a video on a game he's not familiar with or never played, because more reasons as why that game died are never brought up or brushed aside, i.e. Marvel Heroes. If you want a better balance or documentary style autopsy on games or companies doing that, clearly did the legwork on research, watch Gamers videos. Spells it GVMERS. They're very well made.
So I had never seen any of them. Have you?
No, neither have I. I
didn't either until I read that comment and I searched them out. And you know what, Azrael Sword, when you're right, you're right. I've only watched like 2 or 3. I watched the Grand Theft Auto series, History Retrospective one, and I think 1 or 2 other ones. I'm going to be watching a bunch of them. I thank you. I love when we get recommendations for stuff like that. It looks like beautiful content. I've enjoyed what I've watched so far. I'm still going to watch Nerd Slayer. I know you don't like it, but I do. So, but thank you for giving me a new channel. And Jason, definitely check it out. I think it's right up your alley so far. Again, I've only watched like 2 or 3 so far. Q, go ahead.
Tickle 2399. Nerd Slayer's vids are trash. Pretty much everyone boils down to they weren't sandbox or PvP enough. All he cares about is PvP, and if a game fails for any reason, he'll attribute it to it not having PvP that is to his liking. He projects the things he likes as being representative of the entire MMO scene.
I hate people like that.
Some people disagree. Yeah, some people disagreeing with me. That's cool. That's cool. He does enjoy his PvP. Tickle. I'll give you that.
Unless it's all about the inventory, because that means you're getting inventories.
Yeah, Jason will do retrospective videos about why games shut down, and every single one will be because their bag system sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're right, you're right.
Yeah, but Elder Scrolls Online just announced another thing, so
Yeah, another expansion. Question of the week. Last week. Now that you have more details about Magic Legends, are you more or less interested than you were before? Why? Gesley chimes in here too, says, I would prefer an old classic 3D style MMORPG. You could say I don't know anything about Magic the Gathering IP. All I know is it's existed for a long time and it's a card game. If they take too long, this market will be overcrowded with other games which were announced last year and before that, like Path of Exile 2, Diablo 4, Torchlight, possibly Lost Ark. Simply with 3D, I usually can immerse myself in a game more. As far as I understand, Magic has tons of content, lore, which could provide that immersive feeling, and it would be new for me to enjoy. As for ARPG, I mostly don't care about story. Give me tons of mobs, gear, pretty skills, good visuals, skills, build customization, and it has to feel fast. But in the trailer, it felt slow and floaty. I don't know if that's a word. It's a word. I won't lie. Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4 will give that to me. I'm sure about it. And I really don't feel the need for that game. But I always have the desire to get my hands on a new 3D MMORPG. And I think that's a fair point. I think that's it's one we made, that this is kind of a race to market now for a lot of these titles. PoE 2, or Diablo 4, Torchlight Frontiers, this Magic Legends. Once we found out it was an ARPG, it was, okay, this is what 2020 is going to be. So I kind of agree with you. It is a race to market at this point. I'm going to reserve comment on the speed of the game. While I agree with you, the Mind Mage video that they showed wasn't really like earth-shattering or fast or anything like that. I also think that was just B-roll footage of alpha content, them showing one little mission with a single player. It wasn't even a multiplayer group. So I think things would have been tamed back more than what they could be. We'll see. Go ahead, Jason.
Geoman Drake says, Magic Legends looks like some bargain bin shit, lol.
Damn.
All right.
Q.
RS Jabber, I really expected old school tab targeting MMORPG. Now the hype is sadly gone.
Wow. Just totally gone. They sucked it out of them.
Not that I'm gonna totally disagree with him, but don't ever expect that.
Don't ever have expectations.
Why do you keep expecting? No, expectations are fine, but why do you keep expecting there's going to be a 3D MMORPG? Stop doing it. Stop disappointing yourself. That'll be fine.
Guza says, I was really disappointed by Magic Legends. I was expecting it to be like Neverwinter.
Stop expecting that.
No, I'm assuming that what you mean by expecting it to be Neverwinter was that type of action MMORPG, not the monetization shit we just ran through. But yeah, I don't think, Jason, it's not unfair to expect that. You were talking about Magic the Gathering. You were talking about Planeswalkers. You were talking about Perfect World and Cryptic Studios. I think there's a reasonable expectation that when they say something like action MMO, you're like, oh, probably like Neverwinter.
No.
Something they've done that is more action-y than tab targety. Does have some tab targeting, but I don't think that's unreasonable that you would have thought, oh, it's probably going to be like Neverwinter.
Yeah, it is.
I'm telling you, just wait till you get closer to game launches where you've seen more stuff and then start having expectations. Yeah. Don't start having expectations when they first announce a game. You're just going to be disappointed no matter what.
Guys, Q and Jason.
MMO at this point in the world.
Guys, Q and Jason are here to tell you, don't be happy about anything.
No, you can be
I'm not saying don't be happy. I'm happy because I don't have expectations.
One specific thing not to expect. Stop doing it. You've been doing it for like 5 years now. Make them more RPG. It's going to be awesome. No, it fucking isn't, okay? You know this by now. He's smart.
Hey, do you guys think...
Do you
guys think we're going to get a new Star Wars MMO anytime?
Fuck no.
I mean,
I'm not sure I would care.
SWTOR is a little long in the tooth now, right?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine a world without one.
You really want to do an MMO based on the last 3 movies?
Well, it's not like we did one before based on the movies. Galaxies was like, had at least the right timeline.
Mandalorian MMO, sure.
There you go. There you go. Roll of the child class.
Everybody wants to play as Baby Yoda.
Yeah, Final Fantasy had, Final Fantasy has little Lalafels in the new Star Wars. Everybody's just running around as the child, and it's this big. Anyway, where the hell were we? Jason, yeah, go ahead, take the next one.
Neo Turk Nope. Magic Legends looks like a 5-year-old cell phone game. Cryptic and perfect world with the gifts that keep on disappointing. Also, many people will be pissed it's an ARPG and not a full-blown RPG, but it looks like shit, really bad.
Q, finish it off.
They're also unhappy.
Yeah.
Not
I
this
mean,
guy.
this is why I keep saying don't have expectations. You'll be so much happier. Striker X31. I'll still try it.
Hey, see, someone's not unhappy. You did not have expectations.
I was surprised.
Just
by the
don't have
feedback.
expectations. I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
I was
One
surprised.
specific thing. Stop believing in the MMO.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really do much for my hype. I think I said it maybe bumped it up half a point. That, you know, it kind of was right where it was before I saw gameplay footage. And even then, my hype, I think I described it as being like a 7. So it's not overblown or anything like that. I'll still play it. I'm with you, Striker. I'll still play it. Question of the week next week. Even though Jason said don't do it, I want you to do it. Give us your 2020 predictions. Put one in the comments down here on YouTube so I can read them on the show. Put more on Jason's article on mmobomb.com so we can feature them in our year-end review at the end of 2020. And if you gave predictions last year, might want to go and check out this article to see if yours were included in the write-up. Until then, Jason, where can everybody find you?
On Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter. Hopefully actually doing some tonight if my audio isn't completely borked up. But
Nice. Q.
Hanging on Twitter and Quitland.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at magicman1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet at you all the latest articles, first look videos, free-to-play casts, free-to-play weekly giveaways, interviews, previews, and so much more. Don't forget your weekly bombs in the comments below. And until next week, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.